Now we can take this globally, and what's interesting in the Global Consciousness Project is that they began to see that satellites and all these other mechanisms that were employed in different places around the world began to notice that whenever a vast number of people were focused on any one given topic, and they were focused on it with the same kind of emotion, it registered in satellites and on these other computer models that they had.
That's amazing, yeah. And that's similar to what you mentioned in an earlier video, where when you go to a hospital and you may get an MRI, you may get an EKG,
Yes.
and the doctors are basically measuring your energy
Yes.
in your body. So what you're talking about is that energy can also be measured not for an individual, but for all of us.
Yes. The whole of us, everyone on planet Earth, constitute a frequency of energy, along with the planet herself. It has been long, in the ancient prophecies, it's spoken of the heartbeat of planet Earth.
So we can think of the planet as a living organism?
Entity,
Is
yes.
that fair?
She's a living entity,
Mhm.
and scientifically, they've even proven this. So it was a scientist by the name of Schumann, German scientist, who discovered that the Earth actually pulsates at a frequency of 7.83 hertz. So it's called a Schumann resonance, and it is actually utilized, excuse me, in, they recommended that they put this in rockets when they're sending people on these trips in outer space, that they really need to have this resonance of planet Earth that we are on right now in this, what I'm going to call this time-space continuum. So it's 7.83 hertz.
Does that energy vibration of the planet,
Yes.
does it change?
Yes. This is what's interesting about what's happening today. So as we know, today is, what is today, Drew? August
4th.
4th, okay.
Yeah.
2013. We just passed 8 months ago, not even,
Mhm.
December 21st, 2012.
Yeah, some people said the world was going to end.
Yes.
It looks like it hasn't.
It hasn't ended, yes, here we are.
Okay.
What we're doing is the old times are ending, the times where the apocalypse happened. The apocalypse is the lifting of the veil. That's how you translate it in Greek. It's called a lifting of the veil. Now this veil has been a veil of unawareness. Some people use the word ignorance. I don't like that word because it connotates something negative to me, because I don't think ignorance is, anyway, unawareness. Where we've been unaware of how life operates at the most fundamental level. We are now learning. This is part of the awakening. Through the crises and events of magnitude that are happening today, they're serving us as the catalyst to move us into caring about something more than what we've ever cared about.
So some of these tragedies, if I can call them
Yes.
tragedies, I mean, I consider war,
Yes.
famine, disease, I think these are tragedies. They're necessary.
For
Is
the
it fair to
evolution
say?
of man, at the stage we're at today, okay, we're living in this three-dimensional planet, okay, and we're moving up in our consciousness. As we move up in our consciousness, we can actually graduate, if you will, from this particular three-dimensional existence, where we do need, the catalyst has to be, unfortunately, it speaks of the primitive nature of our consciousness.
Do you think that people or humans have already passed other thresholds in terms of consciousness? In other words, if we go back 1,000 years or 10,000 years, were there points where we kind of graduated?
Well, what's
already?
interesting about that, Drew, is that the Hindu actually divide this 25,920-year elliptical orbit around the Milky Way galaxy into 4 different sections. As we travel further and further away from the Milky Way galaxy, we go into what they call the Dark Ages. So our consciousness is affected by the sun, the light, and in the ancient documents, light is the same thing as knowledge. So the sun beaming its light at us is actually beaming knowledge to us and awakening us on many levels. This is, again, scientifically, you can validate many of these things. It's very, very interesting when you seek out the scientific validation. Because it all sounds kind of crazy until you begin to do the research and you begin to find out that, whoa, this stuff is really, there's actual scientific experiments that have been conducted between quantum mechanics and all of these various other modalities that have spoken of this and validate the ancient prophecies. So this 25,920-year cycle is divided into these four, what they call yugas. We are now moving from what they call the Kali Yuga. They also call it the Iron Age. It's an age that's characterized by darkness and greed and hatred and bad stuff. But we're moving into, right now, we are moving into the golden age of truth and knowledge, the Satya Yuga.
Is there any evidence of that? When you look at we talked about recent events, we talked about these problems, but you're talking about kind of knowledge, new knowledge, you're talking about higher consciousness. Do we see any of this already unfolding?
Well, I believe when you seek, you will find. Okay, it's one of those statements in the Bible: "Ask and it is given; seek and you shall find." That they didn't quite tell us exactly how to asketh, seeketh, or findeth. So now we're learning what that actually means. We're learning to distill and take these concepts and actually simplify them into practical tools and techniques. And that is actually the mission statement of my publishing company, which is an Alliance of Angels. So it speaks of actually simplifying the ancient wisdom so that we can begin to use it, like I spoke of with utilizing the negative experiences that you encounter in life and transmuting them into something different, because it's simply a sign along your way.
Well, what I'd like to do in some future videos is let's tackle specific problems that we're facing in this country.
Yes.
You know, there's the foreclosure crisis that hasn't really abated.
Yes.
It's still going on. And we have a corporate takeover of Washington, D.C., which is affecting these basic rights that we have for privacy. There's talk about drones that are going to be spying on us. There's a Edward Snowden reveal to the world the extent of spying that is taking place by our own government upon us as U.S. citizens. Every time we send an email, we're on the internet, we pick up our cell phone. There may even be other techniques that they're using. So let's get into the specifics of how we can change this system and how we can improve our lives. So I look forward to that, Lauren. Thank you.
Let me just add one little thing to that, Drew. The Maya tell us right now that we're giving birth to the next level of consciousness or evolution. We're moving into this next level. They say the amount of pain we will undergo during this period while we're giving birth to this next phase is directly commensurate with how long it takes us to wake up to our true power. So the purpose of these videos, again, Drew and I feel compelled that, and understand this law of attraction, that whatever we focus on, we're making bigger, okay? We're adding, whatever we give our attention to, we are adding to it, we're inviting into our experience. So obviously, all of these things, whether it's fracking, whether it's the foreclosures, all of these issues that we're now dealing with, unemployment, etc., if we focus on them, we're just going to make them bigger. So now it's time to use our power to obtain what we want. And we can do that with the secrets.
Well, I look forward to doing that. We'll take it issue by issue and we'll find solutions to those problems that we all see around us.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Sounds good.